It's a religious organisation whose members feel threatened.
You go to jail first and I'll ask questions later, okay? You're a stupid, naive idiot.
My mum was the closest person to me in this world.
It's a psychological cult. It's a psychological commune seamlessly integrated within society.
And they want the world to know just how this church exerts its control.
The Brethren tried to buy my silence for $1 million.
It was very much, the word comes from the top, and if you don't obey that, you're on a path to hell.
Supporting Liberals.
You're supporting them, yeah. But
They also want to expose the political interference.
It felt like an assault on democracy.
The Plymouth Brethren Christian Church has 55,000 members worldwide. They're running away and speaking out.
The Brethren sent private investigators after me when I blew the whistle. I've been on the run for 4 years.
In this episode of Four Corners, shedding light in dark places, we go on an international investigation into the obscure but wealthy religious group known as the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, formerly the Exclusive Brethren. We explore the financial control, the politics, and speak to former members with shattered lives who compare the Brethren to a cult.
In Ermington, in the suburbs of northwestern Sydney, lies the heart of a most unlikely international empire. The Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is a small and secretive religious group established following a breakaway from the Anglican Church in the 19th century. It rarely admits new members.
I'm just shooting for the ABC.
From the ABC. You copy.
It's like a gated Christian community with walls around it, with guards there, not just keeping the world out, but keeping the people inside. So they see the world as fundamentally corrupt. They don't recognise the right of the world and the laws of the world to impinge on the life of the group itself. So in that sense, they become a law unto themselves.
This is the picture the Brethren want the outside world to see. The church has recently uploaded a slew of happy videos of its members to its website.
Hello, my name's Evie. Welcome to the Markham family.
We're Bruce and Janet Goodsall, and we've been married for 43 years.
I'm just a mother of 3 children that want the best for my children.
But former members who have escaped the Brethren say this is all just PR spin about a religious group they say is sinister and controlling.
It's not a commune tucked away in a forest with a fence around it that you literally tangibly escape.
But you still think that it's a cult?
It's a psychological cult. It's a psychological commune seamlessly integrated within society. It's a cult whereby the elders, the leaders, Bruce Hales and his close circle control every facet of every person's life.
The leader of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is Australian Bruce Hales. He's known as the elect vessel, or the man of God. He's led the church since taking over from his father in 2002. His reach extends across the world to places like Canada, where former Brethren member Cheryl Hope supports people who have left the church and those still trapped inside it.
Bruce Hales has such a tight grip on absolutely every locality, no matter if you're thousands of miles away or you're in the same neighborhood as him. There's no difference. It's programmed in you. It's Mr. Hales, Mr. Hales, Mr. Hales, Mr. Hales, Mr. Hales. He has the voice of Jesus, and he says that.
Any form of questioning was essentially, looked down upon. Certainly no sense of sort of like democracy or consensus. It was very much the word comes from the top, and if you don't obey that, then you're out and you're on a path to hell.
And when you say the word comes from the top, from Bruce Hales?
From Bruce Hales, and also his sort of, what I'll call his cabinet of leadership or enforcers.
What the Plymouth Brethren say to the so-called worldlies, that's you and me, and what the church's man of God says to its flock are two quite different things. All of Bruce Hales's pronouncements are printed and bound into these books, and the Brethren faithful are expected to buy them. Four Corners has obtained this set from 2023, and if you have a look on the inside cover, it warns the Brethren not to disclose this material to anyone, and it threatens legal action if they do.
Some of the other pronouncements in the bound books include climate change is bunkum, never trust anybody with a beard, going to places of entertainment like cinemas or car racing tracks is going into the jaws of hell. Hell is there, Satan is there. Camping is dangerous and unnecessary. On media, I don't trust any of these publishers. They're liars. Honestly, they're liars. In the main, journalists are trash. And on Indigenous Australians, described as Aborigines, I mean they're humans, don't always live like civilised humans. So much money has been poured their way. It's just been poured, literally. It's just like it's like one of these steel smelters when you see them pouring the hot molten steel out.
They claim that they're a mainstream Christian church. They're anything but. They're not Christian. They're not mainstream. They're not a church.
The Brethren say in a statement that the bound books may contain language and expressions rooted in Scripture and in scriptural principle, the meaning and intent of which may differ from their common usage. The church has also been criticised for its treatment of women.
Women are excluded from positions of leadership in the movement. All major decisions are the decisions of men, and it's an old-fashioned view of family life, where the man is the head of the household, and what the man believes and says, that's it.
The Plymouth Brethren Christian Church says it takes its guidance from the New Testament's Ephesians. The husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Attitudes in the Brethren are reinforced by lack of information. In recent years, the church has relaxed its technology bans and now allows mobile phones and laptops, but former members say they remain tightly controlled.
They're all supplied by Universal Business Team, which is the financial wing of the church, and all equipped with parental control type software, but it doesn't just limit their access, it also enables the church to monitor what the members are using their phones and computers for.
And how would you characterise that?
Well, it's grossly invasive surveillance. It's dystopian.
You cannot marry or love whoever you like in the Brethren. You cannot have the radio. You cannot watch movies. You cannot have any form of entertainment that will take you away from serving God, or Bruce Hales from Irvington.
We weren't allowed to have pets. We weren't allowed to have pools. We weren't allowed to wear jeans. God, it's easy to think of the things we could do.
The Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is a religion, but it's supported by a labyrinthine corporate structure of more than 3,000 companies in countries across the world. At its centre is an entity called the Universal Business Team, or UBT, which is involved in almost every aspect of Brethren life. The church says on its website that internationally, Brethren businesses turn over $22 billion a year, but it's speculated to be far higher.
Everything within the Brethren is operated as if it is a business. Money is absolutely key. It's fundamental to the Plymouth Brethren. To make the Brethren as successful as they are, they need a level of control. And that control is evident everywhere. So that the 3 F's are fear, family and finance.
Bruce Hales' 4 sons, Gareth, Dean, Greg and Charles, are directors in the vast network of Brethren companies and own an enormous property portfolio. The business's wealth soared during the COVID-19 pandemic, when lucrative sanitation contracts were awarded to Brethren companies by the UK and Australian governments. Damien Hasty began researching the Brethren when he noticed COVID tenders kept going to church-owned companies.
They took at least $5 billion in sales, $5 billion in sales globally, to do with PPE and the supply of rapid antigen tests. My research says that at least 85% of that business went into businesses that were linked to either fully or partly by the Hales family.
Bruce Hales is an accountant, and he's taken charge of the movement, and he's not a theologian or a great thinker, but he's a great organiser, and he knows what to do with money. And he has really turned the Exclusive Brethren into this massive money-making machine. It is quite extraordinary.
They refer to him as the CEO a lot of times. Whatever he says is final. I don't think it's accidental at all. I think they very much want you to know at all times who's truly in control. And
Who's the boss?
Who's the boss.
They're a personality cult centred around Bruce Hales, who uses its members to make obscene sums of money.
In March last year, the Brethren community was rocked. With the news, the Australian Tax Office used its access powers to raid companies, including the Universal Business Team. The ATO's Private Wealth Behaviours of Concern team investigates rich companies suspected of tax avoidance.
The ATO raids of March last year were like a tsunami wave coming at the Exclusive Brethren. It's caused extraordinary ferment within the group itself. They took computers, they took files, phones, everything.
The raids were executed without notice, which the ATO tells Four Corners only happens in exceptional circumstances when it suspects tax evasion, fraud, secrecy or concealment, or has a reasonable belief that documents may be disposed of, altered or destroyed, and it thinks a cooperative approach won't work. Lavinia Richardson grew up in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church and left 2 years ago. She had been working for a Brethren-owned accounting firm, and she says most of the companies it advised were under the Plymouth Brethren umbrella.
When the tax department raided the Brethren, were you surprised?
No. I wasn't surprised that they were getting raided.
Why is that?
because I think that there is so much that they should be looking into and so much worthy of investigation.
From what you saw working inside a Brethren company that was advising about tax, how much does the Brethren have to fear from this Australian Tax Office raid, in your opinion?
In my opinion, they have no idea what's coming for them.
Lavinia Richardson is now living a vastly different life to the one she had before she left the Brethren 2 years ago.
I was only probably months off getting roped into a marriage. It would mean that I was then no longer subject to my father, but now subject to my husband. You're essentially a baby maker and a housewife, and nothing more than that. I wanted more for my life.
Lavinia's escape was a huge feat for a 21-year-old.
Went to Harvey Norman, bought a burner phone that I felt safe to call people on outside of the church, that I didn't feel like it was going to get flagged by the church or by UBT. And then I moved all my money. I went and withdrew all my savings in cash from one bank, walked up the road, opened a new bank account with all my new address, my new phone number, new email address. And then I called the local police station where I lived and said, I'm leaving in my right mind.
She went to Kmart and bought her first pair of jeans, snapping this photo in a change room that day. She boarded a plane to Townsville and emailed her parents and her Brethren employer to say she wouldn't be back.
Mum said, Lavinia, we are devastated. The devil has blinded you and will take you far, far further than you ever expect. On the phone the one day, she said, you know, it would have been easier if you died.
Australians who haven't voted already will go to the polls today to choose the country's 48th parliament.
The sort of control that leads a mother to speak to a daughter in that way extends to politics. And it played out in sharp focus before the last federal election in May. In Perth, ex-Brethren member Cassie Davies was working as a receptionist when she noticed a group of people she believed were Brethren turn up to a polling booth outside her office.
I recognised one of the girls from when I was in the Brethren. I used to, have a little bit to do with her. She would have been a little bit younger than me. So I walked up to her and just started asking her questions.
Cassie started filming on her mobile phone.
Just volunteering, yeah.
You're not on behalf of a group or anything? No? No, you're not?
We've got a home loan and things are tough, cost of living and school fees.
So you will be voting this year?
We're supporting Liberals.
The woman in this video can be seen in this Brethren photo album with her family.
You're supporting them, yeah. But will you be voting?
I don't usually vote because I have beliefs about voting, but I'm happy to help with what I can do.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So you don't vote?
Cassie is herself a Liberal voter, so has no problem with genuine support for the party.
I just was outraged at the hypocrisy, really, and I just wanted them to tell the truth. I know from my time in there, we don't vote, we don't get involved with politics. That's all left to a higher power. But here they are standing on a street corner handing out how to votes. It makes no sense.
So the reason I'm asking is I'm quite interested in the fact that there's someone here that doesn't vote, but he's openly campaigning. And I'm wondering,
who do you vote for? Do you vote?
Yeah, I do vote.
And who do you vote for?
Well, it doesn't matter who I vote for. That's not a question you can ask.
You shouldn't ask that question.
The woman in the video, Amy Trewarn, told us she felt surprised and shocked by being filmed, and she volunteered because her husband asked her to. Both she and the Brethren, in a statement to Four Corners, said the decision some members made not to vote was supported by the Bible, and the Brethren said volunteering was a personal decision for members, not one for the church. There were reports of the Brethren being brought in to volunteer for the coalition around the country.
It felt like an assault on democracy. It felt like they were there to buy the election. The amount of money that was spent in some seats was extraordinary. This is not a standard that Australians want repeated ever again. It was wild.
Hey, how are you?
Labor's Jerome Laxale ultimately won his seat of Bennelong, but he says he could certainly feel this playing out there.
It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. The sheer number of people that turned up in a coordinated manner.
Bruce Hales's own son Gareth, who lives in Bennelong, could be seen volunteering for the Liberals. Mr Laxale says Brethren were even scrutineering votes on behalf of the Liberal Party once the count came in. Church insiders have granted Four Corners access to the instructions Brethren members sent to volunteers on how to respond to questions. What church are you from? I don't think it's appropriate for you to ask my religion. I'm volunteering. Has your church asked you to volunteer? No, I just love our country and want to help get Australia back on track. My religion has nothing to do with me volunteering.
You have all sorts of strange occurrences with, a cult, the exclusive Brethren, that they need to explain going forward. Where are all these people coming from? Why are they campaigning on booze? They don't vote, by the way, but they all of a sudden have found this enthusiasm in their hundreds to travel around the country to hand out how to vote. What's the quid pro quo there? What is going on there?
I was so thankful to hear it being called out for what it is on such a big scale by someone with that standing. And the Prime Minister calling it a cult is recognising it for what it is. I have always said I will stop calling it a cult when it stops ticking the boxes of a cult. I grew up in it. It is a cult.
I cried tears of joy. Absolutely. Having that in black and white for everybody to see. And my phone flooded after that from the insiders saying, finally, somebody has, he called it just like it was.
The church says it's not a cult, and it's written to Anthony Albanese about his comments and hasn't heard back. Jerome Laxale is now chairing a parliamentary inquiry into the 2025 election. Complaints about the Brethren are expected to feature prominently.
Well, we don't want people to buy elections, and you just need to look to overseas democracies where money and influence distort democracy and distort outcomes. Our democracy belongs to Australian citizens, not those with the deepest pockets or the most resources.
Lavinia Richardson was also concerned about the influence Brethren, through their companies, sought to exercise on politicians.
I saw large amounts of money getting donated to political parties that they don't vote for. They won't vote because they say they have a religious exemption. But these companies will donate large amounts of money, splitting it between people so it's just under the reportable threshold, and these massive amounts to political parties. I think that these parties need to take a long, hard look at who is supporting them and who is funding them.
Four Corners has discovered a Brethren-owned company, Voltex Electrical Accessories, donated $115,000 to the Liberal Party 3 days before the 2022 election. A company search for Voltex reveals Bruce Hales is its auditor. In the lead up to the 2025 Australian election, then Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor and former Liberal Prime Minister Tony Abbott were just two of the Liberal luminaries openly supporting the Brethren.
I've had a bit to do with the Brethren over the years, and they're very good people who contribute a lot to our society.
The politicians championed the church's charity arm, the Rapid Relief Team, or RRT, set up in the wake of a UK government decision to challenge the Brethren's charitable status.
The work RRT does right across Australia now is absolutely fantastic, and it's played an enormously important role in our community. So thank you, RRT.
Four Corners can reveal that former Liberal Health Minister Greg Hunt is now employed by a Brethren company as a board advisor. That company has the same owners and the same directors as a business which won $54 million in COVID-19 contracts for rapid antigen tests and medical supplies. The contracts were awarded by the Health Department when Mr Hunt was Health Minister in the former Morrison government.
Greg Hunt told Four Corners in a statement he had no dealings, meetings, contact or engagement with the company while Health Minister. Mr Hunt said all decisions were made solely by the Australian Public Service.
Susan Lee is the leader of the Liberal Party and she's a strong woman. What would you say to Susan Lee about taking funding and support from the church that you left?
I'd say to Susan Lee that think about women like my mother. Put yourself in her shoes, who didn't even get a chance at dreaming at a career because it wasn't offered, it wasn't allowed. You have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make things better for the women in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, and you could start by not accepting funds or not associating with the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church.
Ben Woodbury kept a video diary after he left the Brethren 10 years ago. This clip was filmed just after the last time he saw his mother.
I've just finished it, saying what will probably be the last goodbye to my mother. I tried pleading with her and making her see my reason, and I could just see her lost, vacant look like I was a total stranger. Like, she'll always be brainwashed in that cult to the day she dies. And I think that video really sums up everything that I never ever wanted to face, I think. I am quite literally dead to my family.
Ben grew up in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, deeply unhappy.
As a kid, being indoctrinated and told that all your life, to me, suicide seemed like a positive alternative.
Ben realised he was gay very young, and homosexuality was absolutely forbidden in the church. He's now an antiques dealer.
I wasn't successful at killing myself, but there were times where I look back and I think I was so damn close.
I'm tired of seeing generation after generation of broken, hurt people.
Broken, hurt people like Mick Dover. Mick's pain has been burning away inside him for decades. Talking about it makes him quick to tears.
I have to do this
It's the only thing I need to do to have peace.
Mick reported horrific rapes by 3 church members over a decade, starting from when he was just 5 years old, growing up in Melbourne. 3 years ago, he finally decided to take action against the Brethren.
Abuse in ways you can't imagine. If you want explicit, I can give explicit, I can describe it. But gee, I don't think you're all ready for that. I've had things done to me that my body suffers today for.
I'm so sorry, Mick. I'm so sorry.
Mick grew up in a wealthy Brethren family who printed Melbourne's Herald newspaper. The 2 men and 1 woman Mick says raped him moved in the same privileged circles. His legal documents catalogue a list of people in the church, some of whom remain prominent in the Brethren, that he alleges he told about the abuse over many years. There are 75 people on that list.
So many people. I never shut up.
Did any of those people in any way do anything with that information?
No, they told me that I had to stop my filthy thoughts.
When Mick decided to sue, the Brethren offered a financial settlement of $450,000, then $750,000, and finally $1 million. But there was a catch. The Brethren insisted on a non-disclosure agreement, which also forbade him from disparaging the church. Abuse lawyers tell Four Corners this rarely happens since the Child Abuse Royal Commission ended in 2017. By talking to us, Mick is risking his financial settlement.
There's another element to it. It says that the parties will not disclose to any third party, including but not limited to any media organisation. So they're trying there to basically stop you from doing what you're doing now.
And that's why I haven't accepted.
What do you think it says about the Brethren that they were willing to pay you $1 million only on the condition that you be silent about your abuse?
It says they're disgusting. They've got no morals.
You know, Mick, $1 million is a lot of money.
Not worth it. To me, I'd rather tell you. I'm here today because I don't give a damn about $1 million. They've already taken more than enough, if it's a monetary value. But they've taken something I can't take back. Can't relive my life. I need it off my shoulders to make sure that no one else suffers like I did. And I don't want to see the denial, because that isn't Christian.
We travelled to Miami, Florida to find out just how some men in the Brethren hierarchy operate when members cross them. Trent Woski is now a successful marketing executive and living a life he can't have dreamed of before he left the Brethren 9 years ago. But he's still haunted by how he was treated by 2 top Brethren leaders.
Get yourself right, you stupid idiot. Get yourself right.
Mac.
You think you want to go to hell? You want to go to hell? Do you know what hell is?
Trent was a bright teenager who secretly obtained his own phone, which wasn't controlled by the Brethren.
I found it very suffocating. I think especially given the kind of personality that I have, I naturally like to question things.
As his doubts grew, in a moment of teenage bravado, he led his cousin to believe that he had access to the Brethren's universal business team computer system, and Trent's cousin informed the church.
But what he didn't know was that I don't know how to hack. I hadn't hacked anything.
2 priests turned up to Trent's parents' house. The priests got 2 senior churchmen, Mick Strange and Rod Diplock, on the phone for an extraordinary interrogation. Trent was scared enough to record it.
Just so we're all on the same page, I wanted to disclose to everybody that I will be recording this conversation just for my own safety. They got ugly really fast. Pretty much out of the gate, Mick Strange was essentially yelling at me.
You want to try and play fast and loose with us? Have at it. That's all I'm saying. You want to fight us? You want to fight us?
The men on that recording aren't just minor players in the Brethren world. American Rod Diplock is arguably the church's most powerful figure here in the United States. And both he and the Australian on the recording, Mick Strange, are directors of a key Brethren company.
Trent was just 18 years old. He immediately and repeatedly said he had not hacked into the church company, but the men ignored him and told him they were owners of Universal Business Team, or UBT, which is the company that controls the church's entire empire. Mick Strange has been a director of UBT Global, and in the phone call he repeatedly refers to what he calls the brand.
And we will protect it to its fullest extent. We have a board mandate, okay?
Mr Strange now tells Four Corners Brethren leader Bruce Hales had no knowledge of this conversation or anything to do with this. But on the recording, the 2 men repeatedly refer to Mr Hales.
We're here to protect the Lord's interest and Mr Hales' interest.
Trent keeps protesting, saying he didn't do anything wrong.
I'm not here to lie to you. I know the resources you have. I'm not stupid.
But it doesn't work.
You go to jail first, so I'll ask questions later, okay?
Internally, I was terrified. All of the intimidation and, again, the threats of throwing me in jail. They didn't want to listen to reason. They didn't want to hear me explain my side of the story and what had actually happened.
Get yourself right, and you better get yourself right fast.
It's been 9 years, but Trent's wife Flanders still hates listening to her husband being treated like this.
You think you want to go to hell? You want to go to hell? Do you know what hell is? Don't muck around. Don't be smart to me. Don't be smart to the rest of us on the phone. Listen to me, you're a stupid, naive idiot, okay?
Okay, well...
You're a stupid, dumb, naive idiot.
Well...
You think you're smarter than us? You think you're smarter than Mr. Hale? You think you're smarter than the system we've set on? You're not, okay?
I'm not. I never said that.
You're dumb.
I'm dumb.
You're dumb. You're dumb, okay? And if you don't wake up to yourself, you'll end up with people in a lake of fire.
It's disgusting. Like, absolutely disgusting. You're 18 years old. This man, I don't know how, 40-year-old, you don't scream at someone like that.
Mick Strange told Four Corners that hacking was a very serious issue, and his message and tone reflected that. But if he had his time again, he wouldn't make references to religion or people in the church, and he would just send this to the cops. Former Brethren member Richard Marsh learned the hard way what it's like when you challenge the church. Richard has been on the run from the Brethren for 4 years.
You're constantly on the alert. Every day, have they found me? Is there someone looking for me? There's no relief from it, there's no day off.
While working for a Brethren business with links to the Hales family, Richard became extremely concerned about a sanitation device the company distributed called Deprox. Deprox was designed to kill hospital superbugs, and was sold to Sydney's Westmead Hospital and other healthcare facilities across Australia and the UK.
This is the latest weapon in infection control. This automated machine emits vapours of hydrogen peroxide into the air, blasting bacteria and decontaminating a room in a matter of hours.
Britain's National Workplace Safety Regulator would ultimately order the company to warn customers of the risks of using Deprox, following reports of nosebleeds, burning eyes and chest infections in hospital staff.
I blew the whistle. I blew the whistle on something that was proceeding in Brethren, and I took it to the authorities, and the Brethren wouldn't accept that.
Australia's Therapeutic Goods Administration issued new guidelines for use of Deprox, and some hospitals stopped using the machine entirely.
What happened when you did blow the whistle?
2 priests, Brethren priests, were on my doorstep, very, very angry. I had been treacherous, was the word they used, and unbrotherly.
After blowing the whistle, Richard Marsh also criticised a Brethren member and was found by a UK court to have defamed him. Richard left the Brethren. He went to Canada and began to attack the church more generally on social media. That's when private investigators started pursuing him. A man called David Wallace was hired to track him down. He'd been engaged by a Canadian Conservative Party consultant and a lawyer working with the North American Brethren.
He's a political operative, political dark arts. So if you're a politician and you want dirt on your opponent, or you want to spread a rumour about your opponent, that even if it's not true at all, David is the man. He will dig through their garbage, he will speak to people, he will invent things, he will spread rumours, he will bring down anyone that you want brought down. And he's also very good at finding people.
As accustomed as David Wallace was to political dark arts, he was not prepared to do this job. And that's when he decided to warn Richard Marsh. He rang a friend of Richard's who recorded the conversation.
These people are giving me the big time creeps. Big time creeps. And I want to give them their money back. I don't want to do this. Like, this is too heavy for me. I don't do this sort of stuff, but that's not what this is about. These guys are hunting this guy.
David Wallace had simple advice for Richard Marsh: run.
By this point, I knew something was really wrong. Really wrong. So I started making my own phone calls and found out the backstory on this Plymouth Brethren group. So I decided that Mr. Marsh needed to be removed from the situation.
David Wallace cut ties with the Brethren and gave Richard all of his correspondence with the church and its lawyers, including a dossier compiled by previous private investigators also hired by the Brethren.
The level of surveillance of Richard Marsh by private investigators here in Canada, later recorded in emails forwarded to him, was extraordinary. They followed his wife so much that she made 16 calls to police alleging that she'd been stalked and harassed.
Richard Marsh has never been able to see his family since he escaped. He has 5 children. The youngest boy was 13 when Richard left.
It makes you feel very guilty, because I know that from his perspective, he would feel that I'd abandoned him. I'd just vanished out of his life. And of course, he would be taught in the Brethren it was because I was evil and wicked.
Every one of these people has had to make enormous sacrifices, knowing that for their families, leaving the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church is considered worse than death.
As I drove away, my little sister ran out, and I just remember seeing her in my rearview mirror and knowing that I would never see her ever again.
How did that feel?
It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
My last image is my sister's just like collapsing on the ground, screaming, like they're witnessing my dead body and the life slowly draining from it. Because that's quite literally what you were taught or brainwashed. And then hopping in that car and seeing my sister chase my car down the street. Until she was just a speck in the distance in the revision mirror.
All the ex-brethren we spoke to want Australian policymakers to bring to account this global empire run in the shadows of suburban Sydney.
Today, I'm here for one purpose, and that is to expose the cover-up, to actually defend people that have never been listened to, that are too afraid to come forward, because the consequences are diabolical.
If this program has raised concerns for you, you can contact one of these services.